Are you struggling with mutual authentication in your .NET application? You're not alone. Today, we're diving into a common issue that many developers face when working with client certificates. I totally understand how frustrating it can be when your code works perfectly in development, but fails in production. This is a common scenario, and it can really throw a wrench in your plans. Here's the situation we're addressing. A user has a .NET application running under IIS that loads a client certificate from a file. It works fine on their development machine, but when deployed to a Windows Server 2016, they encounter an error stating the request was aborted, could not create SSL TLS secure channel. Sound familiar? Let's explore this together. So, what's going on here? The error is often due to the lack of permissions for the IIS user to read the private key in the PFX file. This can be a tricky issue, but understanding it is the first step to finding a solution. And stick around. At the end of this video, I'll share a workaround that allows you to use client certificates without importing them into the certificate store. To address the issue of using a client certificate without importing it into the certificate store, the user can load the certificate directly from the file. First, ensure that the user has the correct permissions set on the PFX file itself. Next, the user should modify the code to load the certificate from the file while ensuring that the private key is accessible. This can be done by using the correct flags when loading the certificate. After loading the certificate, the user needs to ensure that the HTTP client is configured correctly. This includes setting the authentication level to mutual authentication. Finally, the user should test the application in the production environment to confirm that the mutual authentication works as expected without needing to import the certificate into the store. Fun fact, did you know that SSL certificates were first introduced in 1994? They have come a long way since then, but the challenges they present can still be quite modern. Now, let's look at the answers provided by other users. An alternative approach suggested by a user is to use X509 key storage flags.persist key set. This allows you to import the key into the key storage without needing to manage permissions for the private key directly. That's it for that response. Let's explore another one. An alternative solution provided by a user suggests modifying how the client certificate is loaded. Instead of using the default method, they recommend using the machine key set flag when loading the certificate. Now, let's see a response from a different user. An alternative solution provided by a user suggests modifying the startup code. They recommend setting the security protocol to support TLS 12, TLS 11, and TLS. Additionally, they propose using a callback to bypass server certificate validation. Here's the key takeaway. Always ensure your application has the right permissions to access the certificate file. This simple step can save you a lot of headaches down the line. And there you have it. With the right permissions and understanding, you can successfully implement mutual authentication in your .NET application. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe for more tips and tricks.